Hello friends, it's Klauds and I'm back with another video. So today, in honor of Women's History Month, I am gonna be doing a few videos that I hope would inspire you as a woman and inspire anyone to read these books that were written by women. So for my opening of the month of March, I am going to be telling you guys about 5 powerful books that were written by women. So here we go. First off, we are going to start with Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I have mentioned this book many times on my channel, but if you haven't seen my other videos where I mentioned this, Know My Name by Chanel Miller is a memoir that Chanel Miller herself wrote about her experience in the aftermath of what happened when the Yale jock asshole Brock Turner raped her. This book might have a bit of trigger warnings, but it is still such an inspiring read because Chanel Miller went through so much, and to put it all down in a book, that's freaking brave, and that has to make her powerful. At the same time, when you learn just what she went through, you would be so angry at the system for putting her through that. She already went through this one trauma. You had to dig the hole a little deeper. So yeah, in my personal experience, I listened to the audiobook and Chanel Miller herself was the one who narrated it. And oh my god, her voice is so calming and so sweet that it's kind of the opposite of what she's saying, but at the same time, she's so expressive with her emotions that you can't help but cry. At the end, she reads aloud her witness statement. If I'm not mistaken, it's her witness statement. And I nearly cried. I nearly cried while listening to it because it's so powerful. And again, you really do feel her emotions. And, you know, not only did she write it, but she read everything she wrote out loud for the audiobook, and that could not have been any easier than writing it down in the first place. And for that, Chanel Miller, you have my utmost respect. So, yes, if you haven't, please go read or listen to Know My Name by Chanel Miller. The next book on this list is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is my first Coho book, and just Colleen Hoover writes in her, what do you call it, dedication at the start. I think if I remember correct, wait, I have it here. She writes in the dedication, "For my father, who tried his very best not to be his worst. And for my mother, who made sure we never saw him at his worst." Listen, I wrote here, that is a really hard-hitting book dedication. Damn. Not knowing what I was gonna get into. I did not know what I was getting into when I started this book. All I knew is that it was gonna be like dual POV. It's the same girl, same character, but we see her POV when she was a teenager, and then we see her POV as an adult. That's all I really knew, and in both times it would be her story with a different guy, and I just thought, it would be like your regular love story that has some kind of deep-hitting emotion. I was wrong. That dedication should have been the first goddamn warning. My personal, I don't want to get into too much detail for spoilers, because I want you, if you haven't read this yet, I want you to experience that for yourself when you pick this book up. But in my personal experience, my personal experience never went into the extent of what Colleen Hoover shows in her book. But you could say that what I've experienced, or at least might be I wouldn't want to say a mild version, but it just never reached to the extent that Colleen Hoover wrote about in this book. So, yeah. But again, it's a book that has to be read by everyone. I hate to say this, but a lot of married women, or if not married, a lot of women in committed relationships go through this without even realizing that there's a problem. And at the same time, though I want to focus on women, I don't want to turn a blind eye to the fact that this also happens to men as well, whether or not they are in a relationship with another man or even in a relationship with a woman. That this is just a powerful book that everyone, again, has to read. Mind trigger warnings, of course, you might want to check the trigger warnings out, but again, powerful book, powerful story, powerful writing. Honestly, Colleen Hoover's writing is so very easy to understand. It flows. When you start reading it, it just flows, okay? And she doesn't use flowery or poetic language. She just tells you as it is and lets the story speak for itself. And that is why I really, or at least another reason why I really love this book. The next book is a very recent read of mine, and this would be My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. Okay. I'm not a big fan of the main character here, but I do understand why the writer went with the path that she went with when writing the main character. However, I do still think that this is a powerful book because as kind of simple as a story it is, it's just a girl who goes to a private school and then ends up in a relationship with her teacher. A lot of stories that I've seen, not that I've seen a lot, but this trope, the student-teacher trope, tends to be romanticized. And Kate Elizabeth Russell does not romanticize it at all. There are some people who say that she romanticizes it in the book. I don't see it. The whole time I was reading this, I did not want to check my blood pressure. And a friend of mine had read it before me. So I was messaging her the whole time I was reading it, sending her screenshots of what I was reading. I was just screaming swear words because I was so mad at what was happening. At first, I was angry at the teacher because he's the adult in the situation. But later on, I wanted to slap the girl. Like, I'm trying to remind myself, like, no, do not be angry with her. She is a victim. She doesn't understand what is wrong. But at the same time, it's like, girl, it's right in your face. It's right there. Wake the fuck up! Okay. I am calm. I am collected. I will not put myself through this again, but I will tell you that you should put yourself... Look, listen. I honestly believe this book should be required reading in schools. Probably with supervision because some parts do tend to get a little graphic. Maybe somewhere in high school, maybe third senior year. Why? The main character in the story is in high school. She is not aware of what's wrong in the situation. And this is why I think it should be required reading. Because it would show students like truth of what is happening. This, you should not, like, the message should be, you should not be going through this. If there is something happening, you tell us. If reading this book makes you realize something, if you're relating to this in any way, please seek help. And even me telling you, if you read this book and you end up relating to it in some kind of way, I sincerely hope you do or are able to seek the help that you would need, because the shit that goes down in this book, that shit is real. I thankfully do not personally know anyone who's been through this, but I have heard stories from other people, and they're true. They are very true. I have heard stories about one single person, and many witnesses have come forward about this one person, and it's real, you guys. This book, it's not just a story, it's real. And people don't understand that it's happening, or when they do find out that it's happening, it's sad, but reality is it's kind of too little too late, you know? So this is why I believe that this should be required reading in school, and this is why I believe that when you're older, you know, maybe read this. Editing Clauds here. I would just like to add that another reason why I would want this to be required reading in school is because a lot of teenage girls tend to romanticize student-teacher relationships. I remember romanticizing the relationship of Arya and Ezra Fitz in Pretty Little Liars when I was like 13, and it started from there. So stories like this, you know, like, it tends to be romanticized, and it should not be romanticized. You know, and also, just to reiterate, when I say required reading, maybe with parental permission as well. I don't know. I don't, like, that's just me thinking, but obviously I'm not a parent. I am not an expert on education. I'm not an expert on child development, but I still think that it should be read by this specific age group, because that's the main character in this story, and that's reality, and that's happening. So, yeah. Before my blood pressure rises even further, I'm going to move on to the next book. So the next book is I Am Malala, the girl who... Shit, this is a really long title. The Girl Who Stood Up for Education and Got Shot by Malala Yousafzai. This is another memoir, and an equally important one, just for a different reason. A few years ago, I heard of a story about a young girl in another country getting shot in the forehead and living. Now, when I heard the story, I just thought, oh, that's cool, that's a miracle, how amazing. It was a miracle. It was a medical miracle, as she narrated in her book. However, I didn't know until much later just what the circumstances were that led to her being shot. And as the title says, she is the girl who stood up for education. She grew up somewhere where girls weren't allowed to be educated to a certain extent. I think they were, if I remember correctly, they were only allowed to study until their pre-teen years, if I'm not mistaken, or their early teenage years. But any further education than that, no more. You gotta go home, learn how to cook, clean, take care of the children. That's it. And Malala, along with other girls, and I think even her family, they did not want this. Malala herself wanted to learn. She wanted to go to school. She wanted to go to higher education. but there were people who did not want that at all. And at the time, she was actually speaking up about it. She was telling people that she should be allowed to go to school and not be hindered by her gender. That was what led to her being shot, because people wanted her to stop, quiet, no more. So she got shot in the head, but again, medical miracle. So many people worked so hard to make sure that she got to live and make sure her message was loud and clear. And clearly, whatever deity is out there, she stood up for education. She literally got shot when people were trying to stop her. But you know what? Here she is. She's ready to fight, and she will get her education whether you want her to or not. Now, for my last book. Okay, I just want to say that the books I mentioned, they are in no particular order at all. I find them all deeply powerful and deeply inspiring. Okay, my Dark Vanessa may not be that inspiring, but I still find it powerful. Again, no particular order. These are just how I kind of ended up writing them down in my notes. So, the last book I will mention is Becoming by Michelle Obama. Okay, here's the thing. I did not read this book. I did not just read this book. I listened to this book. And you know who narrated it? Miss Michelle Obama herself. Miss Ma'am. Okay, so I listen to audiobooks when I'm doing tasks that require both hands. So, washing dishes, cleaning my room, putting makeup on. And you know what? Putting makeup on when I'm getting ready for school while listening to this audiobook was the most powerful thing. At least it made me feel powerful. Like, it made me feel like I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to start my day. If Michelle Obama could do this, I could fucking do this. So, what I love about Michelle Obama's memoir was that it doesn't just tell you about her life as the First Lady, as Michelle Obama, the First Lady of the United States of America. No. We got to see her from her early years. We didn't just see Michelle Obama, we saw Michelle Robinson. And whether or not she married Obama, she would have still been a badass woman no matter. You know what? I clearly believe that Obama married her because she is a badass woman. She was a lawyer already, even before meeting Obama. For fuck's sake, for a time, she was Obama's boss. Okay? If that's not a boss move, I don't know what the hell is. And like, even when he was courting her, she made him work for it, yo. She did not let... I remember when she talked about when she first met Obama and how everybody was like so excited because the new intern at the office was like super handsome and speaks really well and has a really nice voice and all that. And then Michelle Robinson meets him and she's like, that's it? I love her! And then, oh my god, just hearing about her life, I remember that she learned the piano as a kid and just, oh, I love her, she's amazing. I actually want to listen to it again. Maybe even listen while reading the book in my hands. And just, yes. Ugh. And like, this was like one of the first audiobooks I ever listened to. So, she pretty much got me hooked on audiobooks. So, Yeah. Yeah. And again, Michelle Obama narrates it herself. She narrates it herself. And she has such a beautiful voice. It's so calming. It's so clear. And she's so eloquent. I love it. I love it. I wish we get to see more of Michelle Obama. She's amazing. She's also really funny. She's a very kind and generous and like amazing woman. And I just, boss. Michelle Obama. Purse so heavy, na 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 na. So these are the 5 powerful books that are written by women. If you have any other books that you would like to recommend to me that you think I would like, that are also written by women, please list them down below in the comments. I would love to know what you suggest and probably read them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one. Bye!